Hey everyone, this is Zachary Como, Executive Editor of CE Pro, and with me today, I'm joined by a couple guys from Leon Speakers. We got Noah Kaplan, the president of Leon Speakers, and James Banfield, an outdoor audio specialist, is his official title that we learned today. Fellas, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having us, Zach, and happy St. Paddy's Day, y'all.
Hey, I'm not Irish, but I appreciate a good St. Paddy's Day. So we're talking about outdoor technology. Which Leon, of course, offers the integrators and their homeowners. So let me ask you guys, how is the outdoor technology market evolving? What role does tech play now in making outdoor areas feel truly like extensions of the home's interior?
You want me to take that, James?
Feel free.
All right. Well, at Leon for most of our history, our vision has always been about mixing sort of art and audio and design and technology. So for us, bringing the indoor vibe outside is super important. And what I love about music in general is like, you got to think about entertaining and where people spend time. So we're all about putting products where people are spending the most time. James and I also worked together for a really long time. He was one of the first people to introduce the lighting elements into audio. So this is over a decade ago. So thinking about bringing light and sound to us is all about creating vibe. So Leon's main job is to bring the vibrations to the spaces where you are.
Yep. You guys are a vibe, honestly.
Hey, thanks, man. That's my life goal is,
just to be a vibe. Hey, you're living it, brother.
Living.
James, anything to add?
Just pretty much the same, reiterate the same sort of thing. Our long history of working with outdoor products is making the products that fit the environment, sound best in the environment, and really just give that vibe and creation of the feeling of the space.
Yeah, so how has this idea changed product development? The idea that, the outdoors should be just as inviting and entertaining and filled with great audio as the inside.
Well, over the years, since I've been doing outdoor audio since '97, we've seen a progression of sort of just slapping speakers on the outside of walls to looking at the whole environment, figuring out where to design and where to actually place the speakers. So not only visually they match, but also acoustically they sound the best. So over the many years of doing this, we've learned what works, what doesn't work, how best to aim them, all these sort of details. So those are the sort of things we take into account when designing systems.
Yeah, I think it also creating sounds you can see is part of our ethos. So we wanted the objects to kind of be standalone objects. So when you're thinking about speakers as lights, not only can you like change the lighting or we have different forms and styles of lighting, warms, cools, but also you could change the actual colors and powder coats on the speakers. And then we have ways to kind of winterize them, because there's lots of elements out there and lots of different landscapes. So, coming to market with just a one color fits all doesn't always work.
Right. Yeah, let's talk about something which is, the core of Leon, is that just, this design element and that mantra of, how do you want your audio to look, which is a phrase I kind of love. Now, kind of including lighting. What are the challenges in delivering a great outdoor audio and lighting installation without disrupting architectural intent? Like how has it evolved from sticking a black speaker on the side of your house?
No, you want to take that?
Sure. I think that the most interesting thing about sound that's happened over the years is like you could think about sound as architectural elements. And I feel like sound for a long time was looked at as like, oh, the speaker is the product, right? But to me and James, the speaker is kind of the light bulb, and the speaker enclosure is the fixture. So we're trying to think just like in other design industries, like, how many different lighting options there are for the landscape. And I felt like this industry was coming at it with a very narrow scope of actual designs that are made to look different. So oftentimes we mimic the way an outdoor light looks or mimic the way a light looks up in the ceiling. But in actuality, that's not how most other designs work when you're thinking about really any kind of product design. So just reimagining the shapes, how we put them, like, we created some of the first bollards, but we also, liked certain kind of landscape designing styles. Offering colors and options, just like any other thing you're working with architectural design, like you have to have multiple options. So we have a nice palette, an array of colors. And we're also taking tons of custom orders and creating custom objects all the time. So building into kind of wherever you could imagine sound, everywhere from planters to steps to eaves. We've done all of those types of things. And we're also advancing further. And we've created objects that right now aren't out yet, but are way more sculptural. We want them to be sound you could see. Sculptural objects that kind of like play off actual design.
But yeah, James, same question.
Basically, and I was going to reiterate what Noah was saying, but also we've been thinking about ways where we can take sound and put them in sort of artistic objects. So it's not just sort of this run-of-the-mill, this is a speaker. That would really highlight what it is and show what we can make. So that would be involving light and sound in one object, but make it artistic.
Yeah, collaborative things. And we're working on some pretty big outdoor scales like we're trying to work on. And so you can imagine just like thinking of the outdoor landscape as places where you could put sculptural objects in new places and make them featured instead of just like kind of stand-in objects that just hide.
Great. Yeah, something a little bit less sexy, but probably a little bit more important is durability. What goes into Leon outdoor products that makes them able to withstand say a harsh winter in New England, or probably an equally harsh winter up there in Michigan.
Take it away, James. You know that.
Yeah, I was going to say this one's me.
Yeah.
Right from Terra's core was we designed speakers and products for marine use. And only if it lasts there, it'll last anywhere. So it comes down to the gaskets we use, how the cabinet seals, so many different things that we've learned over the years, and then materiality, making sure that you mix the right metals with the right metals, or plastic in this condition, or UV is one of the harshest things out there that'll degrade not only the color, but also depending on the driver, how that's made, it'll degrade the driver. So we, over the years, have learned what works and does not work, and really made it so it can withstand those harsh environments.
I mean, we have literally frozen these things in blocks of ice. We chuck them in the ocean. We go clamming and like leave them next to us while we're playing. It's really crazy what we put them through. We've driven trucks over them. But since James and I have worked together, what I really love is, number one, this is one of the few products that's almost 100% American made. So these are all hand built in Maine. The way we build the chassis of the speaker is also super unique. So we're using a roto mold. So it's a whole solid core product. And it's made with the similar material, the same material that you see in like a kayak. So the core of the object is very indestructible. It doesn't mean that it's not going to have issues or get exposed to the elements or less forever, but it is completely sustainable in that it can be repaired almost forever. That cabinet is really, really durable. And then the coatings that we use on aluminum or stainless steel, they're all powder coated with architectural outdoor UV powder coats. So if something goes wrong, gets chipped, dinged, freezes, tornado, everything happens outside, that we could actually take those and refurbish them, which we've been doing now for a long time. I mean, we were just refurbishing a product that's been outside for probably 16 years. So we could take out the parts, kind of fix up the cabinets, make sure all parts are working, change the crossovers, the speakers, terminal cups, put them back out there, and they're still ready for use. So it's been really cool watching all these processes and like creating a supply chain that's super local.
Right. Yeah. So how should integrators be thinking about system design when they're choosing between landscape, architectural, or surface mounted stuff for outside?
No, you want to take that one first?
Sure. Yeah. Like I'm really into just like simplicity. I don't like to oversell. I like to talk to the customer like, hey, what are we doing out here? You like to entertain people? Or is it just you here for a few weeks a year and you just want it to work? So we like to use a lot of power on the landscape. So we partner with really amazing amplifier companies to create our signature sounds and curves. But, you know, if it's just for ambient, I like to put the speakers like in beautiful spaces, like they are to me, little beautiful halo lights or little accent points that you could design around. So I'll generally keep it to a 2.1. You know, we have a simple burial sub that matches, that's hidden, that just shows you a small outdoor element. And then I kind of multiply it based on the vision that either the designer has or the customer has. So, you know, if we're doing a commercial thing, that could be very different. We get a lot of intense custom requests. You know, so for Pebble Beach, a golf course, you know, we wanted really even natural sound throughout the entire course, you know, so we didn't want it to be too loud. We didn't want it to be very balanced. Sometimes we wanted to aim and make the speakers more directional. So the way you tune it after it's all installed is super relevant also. What I love about a lot of the modern amps, they have really, really effective DSP on them. So you can dial these in and make them, you know, super powerful, but musical at the same time.
Y'all have a favorite project where your speakers have been installed?
That's I mean, these days a lot of breweries.
Yeah,
breweries
right.
are
Yeah,
definitely
we're talking
my
about
favorite.
some. Yeah.
Tell them about Maine, man. Maine Brewing, our favorite place.
We've got them at Maine Brewery. They're all over the place. They're at Allagash Brewery. They're at Bissell Brothers. All these are local breweries.
Tell them about the cool part about Maine Brewing Company, the latest.
The Maine Brewing just keeps expanding. Whatever it is
cool.
that they're doing right. And every time, fortunately, they're taking us along with us, saying they want to do this, they want to do that. Their next go around, in theory, next year is going to be an atrium sort of styling. So they're going to put all of our speakers outdoors there. So they're constantly expanding.
Yeah. But I definitely do have a favorite. And it is the most custom, insane project possibly ever, which is we built all the speakers for Noah's Ark. That is true. So someone actually built a replica at scale museum, I'd call it, of Noah's Ark, and every single speaker in there was not only like we had to create our own roto mold just for those speakers in different tones, different colors, different schemas, and I think it was so many speakers all over there.
Yeah, they were all over.
Where is that installation?
In Kentucky.
It's in Kentucky. This is radical, but these are the project calls we love. We do a lot of weird, like, you know, tours through the woods. We've designed stuff for Burning Man, but we also have to mention, and you should look this up, we've installed speakers in the Biggie Smalls commemorative project in Brooklyn with the most amazing artist, Sherman Banfield, who shares the last name with James. And that's about all they share, but
no relation that I know of, at least.
But if you look up Sherman Banfield and you look up his projects, we did a commemorative piece for LL Cool J, which has our audio in it. The Biggie Smalls is enormous monument. Yeah. It's beautiful. And then we also did one for Phife Dawg, I believe, right? It was to commemorate, you know, from Tribe Called Quest. And these are the projects that we live for, because that's like expressions of our true vision, you know, which is all about mixing art and audio. And the newest iteration of our vision is really all about awakening creativity. So, you know, working with artists and designers and integrators creatively on these projects, and every damn project is hyper creative, you know, in our market. What I love about the industry at large is like no two projects are the same ever. Not for any corporation. You know, we do huge corporation stuff. So, and they want completely different stuff as well. You know, everybody I think is moving towards their own personalized version of what they desire, and I think that's the way that the design industry goes.
Absolutely. Yeah, you guys make cool stuff and are involved in equally cool projects. Just a quick note on Maine Brewing Company. You said whatever they're doing, and they're doing it well. They named a beer lunch. That's like, come on, beer. You can't. If you name a beer after a meal, it's going to be hot, dude.
They also have dinner. They have a second dinner, and then they just came out with breakfast.
They finally,
dude.
But you got to go on site to get these. You got to be there.
Yeah. Oh, really? All right.
Yeah.
I gotta get up there. We were there a couple weeks ago. We didn't get a chance to really, do a little brew tour. But yeah, it's on my
Well,
list.
Well,
let's
let
all
me know
move
when
toward
you're up.
beer.
I can
Come
I
on.
can
Oh
make that
yeah,
happen.
absolutely. Yeah,
We're actually going to be
Um,
building little mini experience centers in these breweries eventually too. So
yeah.
there'll be
Seriously.
like listening lounges, outdoors and
Mm.
indoors. So we're really just seeing this beautiful change happening
Well,
right
dude,
before our eyes.
that's a thing I've noticed with a lot of craft brewers is like a lot of them are artists or musicians. So I definitely see a market for like building little listening lounges within these breweries or just uh focusing a little bit more on the music and creativity at these establishments. Do you guys know Treehouse in Mass?
Hell yeah,
Yep.
we know
Yeah.
Treehouse
Yeah,
and
those are
Trillium.
yep, yeah, those guys are big fish heads down there.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
all amazing. And Trillium, I mean, I visit all these places every single year. So
Yep.
when I'm touring to visit all the integrators and designers, I absolutely 100% stop at every brewery that I can.
Mm. Well, hey, Treehouse is well, do you go to the one in Carlton?
I went the one in Sandwich last year.
Oh, okay, down the Cape. Yeah, that one's cool. Around the
Yeah.
water. Yeah. Yeah,
Yes, there is a place called Sandwich,
yep.
and there is a
Sandwich
treehouse there on the
Mast,
water.
Cape
Yeah.
Cod.
My
Or,
little brother happens to live there, so
oh.
yeah, with my little nephews there, Zane and Danny, the three of them. So not only do I get to visit them, but we go straight to Treehouse Lake right away.
My man. All right, we gotta hang out, dude.
Yeah. No doubt.
Yeah, so what what opportunities do you see for integrators to position outdoor audio and lighting, not just as an add-on, but as like a now we talk about like leading with lighting as a way to kind of get in the door, get in the project early. But how does that, apply to the outdoors?
A lot of the times it's you have to think about the whole area entirely. If there's walking paths, how that's going to affect the lighting, if you need to light up a walking path, or if it's accent lighting, where those accents will be. And we'll partner with other lighting companies to go, if there's trees or something like that, it'll take a certain kind of light. But if it takes our halo, then it's accenting light around or around a pool. So the sooner we get involved in a project, the better, because that way you can really think about where is the most optimal space to really accentuate the light and the sound, since you're mixing both.
Yeah, I think terrain also is super important in landscape architecture. Oftentimes they feel disconnected in general, but the best designs, the best architect firms, the best design firms know that this is like a continuous thought.
Right. Very good. Great. Well, thanks guys. Appreciate your time.
Hey, rock and
Thank
roll.
you.
Thanks for having us.